Thank you, Dana. I want to share with you some Buddhist teachings on generosity written by Gil Fronsdal, published on the online Insight Meditation Center. Now tell me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. There's a term, dana or dana, D-A-N-A. Anyone? We don't know. We'll say Dana. So there's a term, dana, that refers to the act of giving and to the donation itself. The Buddha used the word cage to refer to the inner virtue of generosity that ensures that dana is connected to the path. This use of cage is particularly significant because it also means relinquishment or renunciation. An act of generosity entails giving more than is required, customary, or expected relative to one's own resources and circumstances. Certainly, it involves relinquishment of stinginess, clinging, and greed. In addition, generosity entails relinquishing some aspects of one's self-interest, and thus is a giving of oneself. The Buddha stressed that the spiritual efficacy of a gift is dependent not on the amount given, but rather on the attitude with which it is given. A small donation that stretches a person of little means is considered of greater spiritual consequence than a large but personally insignificant donation from a wealthy person. For lay people, the Buddha considered the morally just acquisition of wealth and financial security to be a skillful source of happiness. However, he did not consider wealth to be an end in itself. Its value lay in the uses to which it was put. The Buddha likened a person who enjoyed wealth without sharing it with others to someone digging his own grave. The Buddha also compared the person who righteously earns wealth and gives it to the needy to a person with two eyes, and the stingy person was compared to someone with only one eye. The Buddha understood giving to a powerful source of merit with long-term benefits both in this life and in lives to come. While the teachings on merit do not carry much meaning for Western Dharma practitioners, these teachings suggest unseen pathways by which consequences of our actions return to us. One way that the giver sees his or her generosity return is found in instant karma, the Buddhist idea that acts that you do have direct consequences on the state of your mind and your heart, even as you do them. The consequences of giving are quite wonderful in the present moment. If we are present for them, we can receive these wonderful consequences during the act of giving. The Buddha emphasized the joy of giving. Dana is not meant to be obligatory or done reluctantly. Rather, dana should be performed when the giver is delighted before, during, and after giving. At its most basic level, dana in the Buddhist tradition means giving freely without expecting anything in return. The act of giving is purely out of compassion or goodwill or the desire for someone else's well-being. Perhaps dana is more about how we are than what we do. Through generosity, we cultivate a generous spirit. Generosity of spirit will usually lead to generosity of action, but being a generous person is more important than any particular act of giving. After all, it is possible to give without being a generous act. Although giving for the purposes of helping others is an important part of the motivation and joy of giving, the Buddha considered giving for the purpose of attaining nibbana as the highest motivation. For this purpose, one gives gifts to adorn and beautify the mind. Among these adornments are non-clinging, loving kindness, and concern for the well-being of others. So it seems that a key part of generosity, now this is me, this isn't Buddha. It seems that a key part of generosity is stepping outside of our comfort zone. Not only financially, could we give a little more of our time, to lend our hands to a good cause? Could we join a group that's working to solve the problems of hunger, housing, employment, or violence in our community? Could we offer a smile and a hello to a person looking for a handout to let them know that they are seen and worthy instead of avoiding eye contact? Could we go to a nursing home to put on an activity for the residents, or play cards with them, or just listen attentively while they tell their stories? Sometimes generosity means meeting the needs where they are, whether it's a need for a real hug or to be treated as if they matter. Consistency, knowing that there is someone that they can count on regularly. Generosity to others is only part of the generous spirit. Let's remember that we all need. Part of being generous is allowing others to be generous to us. Accept offers of generosity from others graciously. Accepting generosity of others is not a sign of weakness. Don't reject it. Generosity builds up both the giver and the receiver. Let me be generous to you. Be generous to me. A generous spirit works both ways.